What are some of the most important things you need to know before starting a farm? Well, in this video, I'm going to share 5 important questions you need to ask yourself before getting started. In fact, if you know the answer to these specific questions, you're well on your way of being ready to start your farm. Hey and welcome back, guys. If you're new to this channel, my name is Moreno from thedutchfarmer.com, and on this channel we cover all things market gardening. We cover the production side, the business side, and everything in between. So if this is your first time here, welcome and consider subscribing. Question number 1. Do I really want to be a farmer? Well, you might be thinking, what a stupid question to ask, Moreno, because that's why I watch your videos, right? But let's dig a little deeper and really look at the question, because do you have an idea of what it would mean to be a full-time farmer? Have you ever farmed before, or have you maybe worked on other people's farms? If not, just because you like growing vegetables and do gardening doesn't necessarily mean that you will actually enjoy being a farmer. Just because it looks romantic and attractive to live off the land and make a living growing crops for your community doesn't mean you will actually enjoy the lifestyle. As soon as you start a farm, you will actually start a business, and with that, many of you will have to change your mindset. If you feel like you want to reconnect to nature and you want to be your own boss and work on your own terms, a farm is definitely able to provide you with that. But realize that every crop you will grow will have a price tag, and as soon as your crops get price tags, they become products. And in order for you to make a viable living and live life on your own terms, you need to sell a lot of products on a consistent basis to make your dreams a reality. Therefore, when you consider starting a farm, it is really important to look at the quality of life you are after. Are you willing to wake up early and start harvesting your crops when it's raining outside? Are you willing to keep working during the summer months when all of your friends or your family go on a holiday and you need to provide your community with your crops? Are you willing to make the sacrifices necessary to take control of your own life? Unlike many city jobs, running a farm is not a job, but it becomes a way of life. And if you don't fully stand behind that, if you don't go all in, then starting a farm might not be the best choice for you. So I ask again, do you really want to be a farmer? If your answer is yes, the second question you need to ask yourself, what does making a living mean to me? Or in other words, how much of a revenue do I need to make in order to sustain the life I want to live? And rather than asking yourself this question, I actually would recommend you write down on paper all the costs and expenses you have on a monthly and yearly basis. In fact, at the beginning of each growing season, my wife and I come together and look into the quality of life that we want for the upcoming year. We ask ourselves questions like, do we want to go on an extended holiday once the season is over? How much money do we need to invest into our child's education? How much money do we want to put aside so that we can one day buy maybe our dream property? What are our life insurance costs for the year? And many other similar questions. After asking ourselves all these questions and working them out, we are able to see, oh, hey, we need this amount of money for our monthly rent. This amount is going to be our monthly grocery costs, and the list goes on. Once we have the full scope and a clear overview of what our annual costs are going to be, we now have a clear picture of what our financial target will need to be for the year that will allow us to live our chosen lifestyles. At this point, once we know what we need to earn for the upcoming year, we are now going to be able to break it down into a production system that is going to tell us exactly what we need to grow to reach that amount of revenue that is based on the actual demand with our local customers. Which brings us to the next question you need to ask yourself. Who are my customers? One common mistake I see new farmers make is assuming things. Assuming that people will buy my vegetables, assuming that there's a high demand for a particular crop. And I'm here to tell you that when you start your farm, there is no room for assumptions. Whenever you start a farm from scratch or any business in general, one of the first things you want to identify is the demand for the products or services you want to sell. In this particular case, one of the first things I would personally do is by starting to do a bit of on-the-surface research. With this, I mean start by looking for potential competitors as well as potential customers. Ask yourself if there are already other farmers in your area selling vegetables, and if so, to who are they selling them? Once you have a basic overview of other farmers in your area and you know who they are serving, I would make a big list with potential customers. At this stage, I would write down all the local farmers markets, all the small to medium-sized restaurants, and I would ask my friends, my family, my neighbors, and the people that they know if they would be interested in my produce if I would start growing it for them. Also, by reaching out directly to restaurants, you can very quickly get feedback and know whether they would be interested or not. Doing research for local farmers markets is a bit different because you will actually have to go out there and get a feel for the place. Are there enough people visiting the markets? Are there many people offering locally grown produce? Another great way of selling your crops, which I think is going to be more and more relevant in the upcoming years, is a CSA-based home delivery service. There's no better way than selling your crops directly to people within your own community that have a vested interest in your production. With all the craziness that is going on that will most likely continue to persist for quite some time, there's no better way for people to get high quality nutritious food that is locally grown by you delivered to their doorsteps. I cannot emphasize on the importance of getting to really know who you're going to serve before you get started farming. Which brings us to the next question. Once you've identified who your potential customers are going to be, the next question you should ask yourself is, what am I going to grow for these customers? And what you're going to grow for them will have to be based on the answer you got from question number 2, in which you've identified your financial target. At this stage, what you will have to do is take your identified financial target, look at what the demands are from your potential customers, and mix and match the two together until they're in balance. Now, the way you do this will vary depending on the type of customers that you're going to serve. But let's say that your financial target is $50,000. You can either make this amount of revenue by only selling lettuce heads for $2 a piece, in which case you will have to sell 25,000 of them. But this will quite probably be impossible to achieve. Therefore, we need to mix and match the quantities of crops and the diversity of crop selection with the type of customers we decide to serve. If you decide you want to go the CSA membership way, you will need to know how many weeks per year you're going to be able to offer a box of vegetables. You'll then need to divide your financial target by the amount of weeks you will offer your box, put a price on it, which will then give you the amount of shares you would need to sell for the year. For farmers markets, it would be a bit different. I would personally look at what is functioning really well on the market, pick the top 15 to 25 crops and grow a bunch of all of them for the first year. But with an emphasis on the more profitable crops, which are usually the salad mixes, leafy greens, bunched roots and herbs, as well as tomatoes, cucumbers and peppers. In this case, I would break down my financial goal by these top 15 to 25 crops, and with that, develop my production plan to be in line with both my personal goals as well as the local demand. Then, once you know who your customers are going to be and what you will have to grow for them to reach your targets, in the next question you will have to ask yourself, what is the initial investment cost of starting a farm? This is quite an essential one as well, since you really want to identify what it is going to take financially to get started. This I've actually covered quite extensively in our video, Is Market Gardening Profitable?, in which I've opened up the curtains of our farm and shared valuable insights, data and numbers that can really help you out with this question. I'll make sure to put a link in the description down below. So if you're serious about this, I highly recommend you check out that video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you want to learn more about market gardening, head over to thedutchfarmer.com and grab a free copy of our ebook. As last, have a nice day and see you in the next video.